Morning. How's everybody doing? Y'all ready for coffee and stretches with Doc? Rainy day edition. Yeah, we're still stuck in lockdown, so I'm here at home and still working and plugging on all this stuff for you out there, and going to continue to do that. So I'm here today in what I call the Gojo Dojo, where you can find your good mojo. In other words, it's my garage. And as y'all can see, I set my garage up a little bit for practice, for meditative practice, and also I have a punching bag right here, and some stuff on the wall to help me work out and stay in a little bit of shape. I'm not like trying to be the best at exercising or anything, but keeping your strength up is important. So I've kind of built myself this little area, so I don't have to go to the gym. I don't have to go anywhere. If I don't want to, I can do everything I need right here in the comfort of my own home. And if you have the space to do something like that, I highly encourage you to utilize that space for more than just throwing old dirty boxes and stuff like that. So anyways, I want to talk about stress today. Here we are, COVID week. I think it's week 19, COVID-19, week 19, I don't know. It's been a while. We've been doing this quarantine, lockdown, social distancing, you name it. We ran the gamut of how we're treating and our behaviors that we're utilizing to cope. Let's face it, we're in this for the long haul. It's not going anywhere, and I'm not going to get into the details about how you feel about any conspiracies or whether y'all believe that we should be taking this more seriously or less seriously or whatever. That irrelevant to me. My locus of control, we talked about that like way back in week 1, is what it is. And I can control what I can, and I can't control what other people are doing, whether they're wearing masks or whether they're not, or all these different things. It's just something I can't put a handle on. But these things cause stress. I mean, everybody is stressed out right now, and if you don't feel it, I mean, it's really palpable, right? So we're stressed out when we're going out into public, if we're doing the right thing, making the right choices. We're stressed out because family members may be getting sick. And, I mean, just all kinds of different things at this point. And it's, like I said, it's like week 19 or something by now. I don't even know. I don't think anybody's keeping count anymore. And as summer's, upon us, and we're moving forward, and whether the kids are going to go back to school or not, we really don't know the answers to a lot of these questions, and that causes people stress. So, you hear a lot of people talk about coping with stress and talking about stress, good stress versus bad stress, and all these different things. What does that actually mean? What is stress? What's happening inside our bodies when we're getting stressed out? So, without getting too deep into the conversation, let's just understand it as responses that happen inside of your body. Okay, so you have your ANS, the autonomic nervous system, that controls your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous systems, right? So these are the big fancy scientific words for the things y'all have heard about, the fight or flight responses to stress. But also a lot of people don't realize that there's actually 4 F's to stress. So that's flight, fight, freeze, or fawn. So these are all things that people can do in very stressful situations. And it's just really the way their biochemistry starts reacting in their body as to what's going to happen. So if you think about in the natural world, when an animal is in danger, the white-tailed deer runs away, or it freezes, right? So we know those very well. we know that also if they get back down, a wild animal will fight for its survival and all these different things. But a lot of people don't realize that also in the presence of stress, people will do this thing called fawn, which is if I can't fight you, I will make friends with you. So it's actually another evolutionary skill that humans have learned along the way is like, oh, well, let's just be friends instead, and I'll do whatever you say, and I'll act like I really care about you and like you. And that's what you see a lot of times in abusive relationships, not to get too deep into PTSD, but all these things add up. Stressful situations are what causes PTSD, and what gets affected when you have PTSD is your autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system. So, that might be a lot to digest. That's all right. Let's just get to the nitty gritty, okay? You have these things in your body that are either going to make you tense up and react, or they're going to let you relax. Ooh yeah, right? So, when we're talking about managing stress, what we're talking about is engaging your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite to your sympathetic nervous system, which is the thing that makes you fight or flight response, like take off, react, where your parasympathetic nervous system is the other thing. It makes you go, oh yeah, things are good. Let's chill. So that's what we're after. We're after that response in your body, and it can be done, it can be engaged through your own activity, okay? Simple way. All right, actually my college professor taught me this, a medical doctor that was teaching us anatomy and physiology, and was actually teaching us ways to improve our studying behaviors. When you've been staring at a book for too long and you're starting to get stressed out about it, how do you cope with that when you still have hours and hours of studying to do? Simple. So your sympathetic nervous system is the thing that makes things clench and tight in your body, and your parasympathetic nervous system is the thing that lets it relax, okay? So if you think about the different things in your body that clench and relax on their own, one of them would be your eyes, how they dilate and how they constrict. And so actually, when they're constricting, that's your sympathetic nervous system engaging that activity. So if you're staring at light and your pupils are constricted because it's trying to hold the light off, well, you're engaging that system the entire time. So something as simple as just closing your eyes engages your parasympathetic nervous system. So that's why whenever you do any kind of meditative practice in the world, the first thing they do is say, close your eyes, right? So another thing is just looking off into the distance. If you're staring at stuff up close, and then you look up and you stare off into the distance, your vision's going to focus on something further away, which actually allows it to relax a little bit. When things are up close, it has to constrict those muscles in your eyes to focus up close, and then it kind of relaxes to focus far away. So just look off into the corner, then close your eyes for a minute. All right, that's just the most simple activity you can do in the moment to engage your parasympathetic relax mode. Okay, we're gonna get one step deeper, okay, and we're gonna go into breathing. All right, breathing is a very, very cool, useful tool, because if you think about it, you have these automatic responses in your body that do things automatically. Your heart always beats, right? You have no control over your heartbeat unless you're a super yogi and you know how to slow your heartbeat down through mindful activity. But most of us aren't there yet. Let's be real. So the only way we can slow our heart rate down is if we just sit down and chill. But one of the other systems that is usually automatic that we can actually, so you have your voluntary versus involuntary muscles, right? Your lungs and your diaphragm are the only one of those, only muscle groups that bridge that gap. They are both also voluntary and involuntary muscles, right? Your diaphragm. So most of the time I'm not thinking about it, my diaphragm's doing the work, I'm just breathing. That's involuntary response. But when I choose to, when I want to, I can take control back over my breath. Yes or no? So, that is why breath work is such an amazing tool. And I'm going to go one step further. All right, I hope I'm not losing y'all today because I'm going a little bit deeper into the science than I usually do. One step further today, okay? Think about when you hold your breath and that sensation that builds up that says, oh my God, I need to breathe. That sensation that builds up is actually the acids building up in your system because your oxygen's being used up, okay? So when you take that breath, instantly you change the chemistry of your blood, the pH balance. So not only are you taking back control of your breath, but you're actually taking back control of your body chemistry as well when you start breathing. A lot of people will start getting into that panic mode when they have an emotional response, a stressful response, and they want to do, what's the first thing they do? They hold their breath and they try to figure out what the next move is. You let that breath out and take one more breath and you automatically start changing the chemistry that exists inside your own system. And if you realize that every response you ever had in your life to anything was nothing more than neurotransmitters and chemicals flowing through your blood system and your brain, then you can literally really start taking back some real control over your stress responses just through those two activities I discussed, closing your eyes and breathing. It's that simple. I got a long-winded version to get there. Close your eyes and breathe sometimes. That's the easiest way to deal with stress. And in the meantime, I'm going to leave y'all with a little homework. Do a little research. Look into the parasympathetic nervous system and look at different ways to engage the parasympathetic nervous system, because this is the way you are going to bring your stress levels down. This is the way you are going to keep yourself in that cool, calm, relaxed state that is going to get us through to the end of this craziness that we're living in today. So, that's it. My pearls of wisdom on stress. Your ANS, your sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system. And remember, the 4 Fs are not just fight or flight, but they're fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. There's 4 Fs, and those are all stress responses that human people do. So, I just like to add a little bit of that in there because I'm, a real big proponent that everybody in America, everybody in the world should become trauma informed because we're all dealing with it. And if you think you're not, that's your ego stepping in the way and telling you you've never been through a traumatic situation or that you can handle it. And some people handle it better than others. That's not the point. The point is we've all dealt with it. We all have it in our lives, and if it is unresolved, that's when it will cause issues. It'll cause health problems. It'll cause emotional problems, mental health problems, behavioral health problems. You name it, straight down the board. Unresolved trauma makes us sick. Well documented. But anyways, That's it. Thank y'all for hanging out. Well, it's not it because we're going to do our stretches, but that's it for the talk part. And it leads me to our stretches and what we're going to do today. Today, I'm not really going to get too deep into the stretch, so much it is the idea of movement or breath in motion. The whole yogic practice principle is surrounded by this breath work. And I don't want to call it yogic breathing because I am not a yogi. I am not certified in yoga. I take classes and I'm still trying to learn myself. But this is breath work while you're moving. And that's kind of the whole thing with yoga. There's a lot of ways to practice yoga, but the quintessential idea of stretching, moving while you breathe is also trying to help tie that mind, body, spirit connection together. So I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the idea and the practice, if y'all watched last week's episode where we were doing the belly breaths, where we're taking the big deep breath in, where we're pausing at the top, and then we're letting it out. We're envisioning good air coming in, bad air going out, good energy coming in, bad energy going out. And that's the practice. But then you just incorporate a little bit of movement into that ideology, and you're essentially doing yoga. Whether you're getting the, moves right, getting the, know the words and the Sanskrit and all this different stuff, that's for the yogi masters, and that's why we take classes and that's why we learn. But at home, when you just want to feel a little better, there's nothing wrong with just doing your own thing. Making it up as you go, or taking what you've learned and applying it into your own routine. Using that yogic breathing and that stretching activity to really engage what we were talking about, the parasympathetic nervous system. And then if you really, really, really want to get it deep into it, the pineal gland activation, which is going to send you into these very, very deep meditative states and bring your brain waves back down into almost like where you're sleeping. That is, true parasympathetic nervous engagement. So anyways, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to practice bringing my arms up and down at the same time while I'm breathing. And then you can try to practice and envision this rhythmic breathing and stretching motion into whatever stretching and movement practices that you're already doing. And then by God, go out and whenever we can, or get online and take a yoga class right now and start learning some of these practices from somebody that's, more experienced at it than me. But here we go. So I'm going to take my big deep breath in, bring my arms up to the top, hold, and then as I breathe out, I'm going to just kind of push forward, okay? And this is just a really, really simple practice. I'm using that vision of bringing good, clean, universal energy up from my feet, stretching my back, my head, my neck, bring it all the way up, and then pushing it out. And we'll do that a few times so y'all can get it in full motion. And that's basically it. Okay, we could do that same thing if I'm doing an upper arm stretch and leaning into it. I'm taking my breath, holding it, letting it out, holding it, letting it out. And every time practicing pushing any kind of negativity, any kind of toxins, anything that I don't want, releasing it, letting it go, and realizing that it's okay to do that. And That's all I got. We got a lot of stretches we could do using that, but I wanted to introduce the breath in motion for you guys because we'll continue to work with that as we move forward. So thank y'all very much for joining me today. Namaste, everybody. Namaste inside today because it's really rainy. Have a great day.